closer and closer to Hashem and to Yiddishkeit, and we very much appreciate that. Thank you so very much for already.
Thank you. Wow. What a month of miracles, a month of light, a month of blessings, a month of victory, and hopefully the victory of God's light. It is incredible what is going on in the world today, and now more than ever, we have to hold on tight to the power of our words as the most incredible weapons of unity. A power of words that will help bring light into the world, a power of love, and a power of shining chesed with everything that we do to ensure the victory of the war more than anything. Especially, we can learn from this week's Parsha, there is so many messages. When we know that Hanukkah was the time of miracles, the time of 8 days where such holy lights that God hid away for the tzaddikim in Gan Eden and for all those who follow God's path comes into the world during the month of Kislev. And there's so many beautiful teachings how these 8 days of light have such a power to get rid of the darkness, and including this week's Parsha. And if you think about what went on in this week's Parsha, you get an idea of how to tap into that Hanukkah light every day anew. And when you look at the light, you see a whiteness, a glow, an aura. When you think about light, you just see how easily it dispels the darkness. Where there is darkness, we know that's a message that there is an absence of light. So when there's more darkness in the world, we have to add more in our light of our tefillah, in our light of our learning, in the light of our kindness, and doing whatever we can to fight the force of darkness and hopefully experience the victory of light. Now, I'm just going to talk about one part of the Parsha where Lavan actually is finding out the news that Yakov and the whole team leave him. And he wants to chase them down. He wants to, try to do what the type of Lavan does. And as he's approaching Lavan, and Yakov is experiencing this moment in time when they're reuniting, so to speak. There's passages in the Torah that actually give us a message of lessons of our life today, so that we can understand how we can maximize the blessings in our life, especially right now with everything that's going on. So the pasuk says, and Lavan arose in the morning. Lavan was Yaakov's father-in-law, remember? Lavan is the same word for Hebrew Lavan, white. And so this is strange. How can Lavan, who is somewhat a cunning and has tricked Yaakov out of his fair share of all the hard work that Yaakov did for so long, how could it be that out of all names that Lavan has, is white? Because white is pure, white is holy. So we are taught that there's a level of whiteness called Lavan, which describes Hashem and his kindness. So when you're reading the technical story of what was going on between Yaakov and Lavan, it's really a story between the soul, because Yaakov is Yud Ekev, which is the power of man down here with every footstep to bring God into this world, and Lavan represents no other than Hashem and his whiteness and his kindness. So it's called supernal whiteness. And in Hebrew it's called Lavan HaElyon, like it's the highest order of whiteness, which is referring to the light and the very essence of Hashem, the Or and Sof. So, let's see if we read the Tanakh and this week's Parsha with Lavan representing Hashem, and this comes from Lukatei Torah, from Zelle Or of the Alter Rebbe, which was translated by Yitzchak David Wagshal, one of my favorite Parsha books, and explaining the deep mystical explanations of the teachings of the Torah. So when it says that Lavan arose in the morning, it's Hashem and his power of blessing and the power of giving chesed to the world is in the morning. That's why, if you remember last week's Parsha, when, the whole story of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yakov, and digging wells, it wasn't also just simply that they were digging wells, because, why would the Torah tell us a seemingly simple story? Everyone in those days dug wells. What's so special? So the teaching was that the wells and the waters of the well represents also the process of what we need to do to access the living waters of Hashem, as it were. The digging of the wells represents the digging of our soul powers and digging out, as it were, the muck, the materialism, the anger, the anxieties that get in the way of having a more perfect relationship with Hashem, and making that sacred space, as it were, like a well. You need to dig out the dirt so then there's room for the water. So prayer is likened to the digging of and making of the well, so that there's room for godliness, there's room for blessings to come into us. And the water that pours from the Shamayim, from the heavens above and all the clouds, represents the living waters of Hashem, which is the Torah, because Torah is likened to water. And this flow of water actually now has a place because we dug a well by building our vessel and building our body up as a pure vessel to contain now the godliness of our soul and the godliness of the Torah. And then the pail actually represented the doing mitzvahs all day long so that we can hydrate and give the koach and the strength to our soul to be able to use the Torah and manifest it in a way that we can actualize it and feel, healthy, mind, body, and soul from the Torah that we've learned. And it happens to be also Hanukkah, the same message with the Chanukiah. If you have only the menorah without the oil or the wick, you can't have a fire. If you have only the oil and the wick, right? The oil will go all over the place and there will be just a spark of flame and then gone. So you need the vessel, you need the menorah. But if you have the menorah and then you don't have the oil and you just have the wick will go bye-bye. And so you need all three components. So again, the menorah represents the vessel of prayer and the effort of making a container to be able to contain God's Kedusha. And the oil represents the Torah. And the mitzvot constantly streaming in. And the wick actually represents the body. Because through the process of creating this incredible vessel and pouring in God's light of God's Torah, the animal soul and the negative tendencies get burned away, just like the wick starts to burn away. Almost like though the burning bush. It keeps burning, but it doesn't really burn. So we're like burning away the negative of the animal soul, and the more we burn away the negative of the animal soul, the more the animal soul's true light and true colors come shining through. And that's why you see in the menorah, there's like two different colors where the wick is and where the wick is burning. There's like a darker flame, and then there's the lighter flame. And the lighter flame represents the transformation of the struggle of trying to get rid of your animalistic midos, like anger and sadness and anxieties, and like all of a sudden there's not much of a struggle anymore, and you are a light, and you have the victory of your soul, both your animal soul and your godly soul. And then the aura around that beautiful light is how it's now influencing the world, because you are a walking Torah. So that's why we are taught we need to use the most purest of oil, because if you use like old oil that's with skin and not the first press, not the most pure, then the light won't be so strong. It won't be so bright. It'll be like a daintier, diminished light. So the representation is this light and this flow of light of wisdom. When you really harness the power of your mind to study Torah, and really be careful not to pour into your mind nourishkeit or watch things and read things that are not going to be a pure oil for your neshama to shine. That's why when the wise man in I think it was Mishlei, but it says the wise man's eyes are on his head. Very famous pasuk. Why? Why do you, in such a holy book, that you have to say the wise man's eyes are on his head? Because everyone knows the eyes are on your head. It's not on your toes. It's not on your it's really... So, because a wise man is always looking on his head. Do I have enough oil to allow the Shekhinah to attach to me so I can be a light? Is this deed going to be one step closer for me to allow the Shekhinah to attach itself to me? Or is it not? Is studying this, even science, if it's not L'Shem Shamayim, if the Rambam would study science to do the moon calculations, or you're studying science to be a doctor or therapist, or so it's for a holy purpose, then it's considered an avenue by which the Shekhinah to rest on you, because you want to do good with it. But if it's just curiosity, or it's not for anything, or maybe to see the wonders of Hashem and go, like I remember, like when I found out that the moon and the stars, I have this moon book, and it said that that the earth, okay, is in comparison to the sun is 1.3 million times bigger than the earth. And I'm blown away, and I'm connected to Hashem and His greatness. So whatever I'm studying, I'm trying to connect to Hashem. That makes my soul shine. That's a victory of light. The wise man, he looks up at his head and says, do I have enough oil? Oh, maybe I have to do good more tzedakah. Maybe I have to do a little more. If I'm feeling anxious and I'm worried and I don't have bitachon and I don't feel trust in God, or I don't have faith in God or emunah, then wow, let me see. Maybe I haven't been, supplying the oil. I haven't been supplying the process of continuous flow of Torah and mitzvahs. So they say, why is it that the need for extra learning and extra praying and extra mitzvahs when we have a godly soul? Why can't that make us shine? But just like oil, once the oil evaporates, it's gone. So if our soul evaporated and went back up, kind of like being subsumed, or evaporating up to God, then we wouldn't be alive. So we need our godly soul down here, and we need a flow of all these mitzvot, all these commandments, and all this wisdom of Hashem through His Torah to be able to allow the Shekhinah to rest on us and be fed, kind of like the oil needs to feed the wick so that the fire can continue to shine. So what's the point here of Lavan chasing, back to the Parsha, chasing Yakov and saying, in the morning? Because guess what? The most powerful effusion, the most unbelievable portion of God's chesed, His kindness, His whiteness, His like moment in time to really shine and be flowing with such a giving flow is in the morning. That's why I talk to many women, and they say, oh, well, I'm so busy, the kids and that, and then I go to work, and I say mincha, better that than nothing. And I'm like, well, but you're missing the time when you need all the blessings, right? You've been complaining that you have no parnasa, that your economy is on the weekend. Not on the weekend, but on the end that's weak. Like that it's that you're barely managing. The flow of God's whiteness is in the morning. Besides the fact that in the morning is when your godly soul needs to come in your body. And I think I've shared this so many times, but the idea is that if your body is not a pure vessel from the fiery words of Torah and Tefillah, then your godly soul can't really come into your mind and heart, because when you wake up in the morning, you're full of impurities. And the fiery words of Tefillah helps purify your body, your mind, your heart, so that the godly soul can come back in. Remember the digging of the wells? You need to get rid of the muck so that your soul can reside in you. So if they're complaining to me, I'm so angry, I'm so sad, I'm so anxious, I'm like, but if you're waiting till mincha to get your godly soul, and you're not getting the power of the whiteness of Hashem in the morning, no wonder you're all over the place. No wonder you're scattered, you can't focus, and you're having a challenge with your, midos, your character traits that are get you in trouble with your children, with your husband, and with you and yourself. Because look what happens after Lavan meets up with Yakov. After they met up, guess what? Lavan kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. And then Lavan departed, and he returned to his place. And then Yakov went on his way. So what is this about? Again, teaching us a deep mystical lesson of what is going on. Lavan, meaning Hashem, kisses us. In Tanya, it's so beautiful how it explains it. But it's like our mouth is speaking words of tefillah, and it causes God's mouth, as it were, to be united with us. And it's like a kiss. And then our chokhmah, bin, and das, which is the three intellectual faculties of our mind, get attached to God's intellectual faculties, and there's a unity. That means that you access this light, this chesed, this kindness of being able to upgrade your intellectual faculties of your mind, which then leads to, like a kiss, that when you kiss, there's like this emotional expression. Breath to breath is exchanged, right? Lip to lip, there's a connection, and now an emotion is aroused from the thought of wanting to unite with your loved one. So the kissing represents this emotional offspring, because the kids are the offspring, right? And the children are the offspring. So when you attach your mind during prayer in the morning and access this amazing unity with God, and you're receiving His absolute blessing and His whiteness and His purity and His kindness, the byproduct of that union, just like a byproduct of a husband and wife's union, becomes children. What are the children of this amazing union at the time of prayer? Love and fear of God, which is a byproduct of the emotions. Children are offspring. Emotions are the offspring of sharpened godly mind. And so, remember we were saying the person who wasn't davening till maybe mincha time at 4 o'clock or something, or 5 when she gets home, then she's bereft of all these amazing spiritual powers of her mind and powerful holy emotions. Then she's going to be eventually, like a car that doesn't have gasoline, and done. Gave her all to maybe the school she's working on, come home and be so tired physically, so tired mentally and emotionally that, she can't cope. And then she's argumentative maybe and short with her husband and her children. And interesting, the Lubavitcher Rebbe used to say, hire a babysitter so you can pray. And I had the video I saw and I read the letter. So, it's that important, us women, even if we're working, to make sure that Lavan kisses us, in the morning, and that we have this incredible bond. And it's so interesting. I was learning a book by Rabbi Ginsburg. It's called Body, Mind, and Soul. And he's talking about this incredible experience that happens when we do bless God. Well, first of all, Tanya tells us, it says, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Hashem, we are blessing God in prayer. And then, because we bless God in prayer, then He can become King of the whole world. Melech haolam, which is, Melech is the King of the whole world, Olam. So we become the conduit for God's flow to reach the world. But if we're not doing it, if we don't have the wick, and we don't have the vessel of prayer, and we don't use our body, our mouth, and we're not doing it or we're half doing it like a superconductor that only has so much power to bring the energy from the main outlet through the pure metal to the destination it has to reach. Like an unrefined metal, then part of the energy is lost along the way. So we lose some of the blessings. The world misses some of the blessing. And it's in our hands. It's in our mouth. It's in our mind when we fully use our mind, body, and soul in prayer. So there's a beautiful blessing that the Levim, the Levim actually bless us, and the explanation is so beautiful. Hopefully it'll inspire us all. Look, I'm not a Kohen to give this blessing, but we all can bless. But I'm going to explain to you what happens when a Kohen blesses and the power of what's happening. So right now I am married, Baruch Hashem, for 36 years, please God, until Netzach Netzakim, and I married an Ashkenazi, but I still identify as a Sephardi, even though I do take the customs of Ashkenazi. I'm a Bat Levi, and so although I'm not a Kohen, I'm going to just read this beautiful blessing and explain to you what is going on so that you can also be more motivated to use your mouth to bless God, to bless your friends, and constantly say blessings on everything. So hopefully this will really shed some more light on the victory you want in your own day. So I'd like to explain. after I say the blessing. May God bless you and protect you. May God shine his countenance upon you and be gracious to you. May God turn his countenance toward you and grant all of us peace. And I really pray that this blessing will go to the soldiers and all the families and the whole world, but especially those who are in Israel fighting this war. But we are fighting the war with our blessings. So what would happen when the Kohanim would say this blessing? They would put their two hands and raise their two hands high up. And one hand has 30 bones. And two hands actually is the numerical value of 30 and 2, which is 32, which actually is the word for heart. Right? Lev in Hebrew is 32, and Lev is heart. So when they were, normally their hands are down, and then they pass the area of their heart, and they raise their hands above their heart, making us be aware that the right hand represents a great hand of chesed, of kindness. The left hand is the strong hand that represents Gevura, which is strength and self-discipline. And both two of these hands are being lifted up above their heart, which what is the message is that they're trying to bless the people to elevate their emotions. That their hearts, inner consciousness and perceptions of their mind will be an expression of elevation. Because when our heart is anxious and angry or sad, we're going to end up saying not so nice words. And our heart will end up used in an emotionally raw, inorganic, toxic way. So when we use our mouth to bless, whether to pray, whether to say Torah with our mouth, and we're raising up our mind and our heart to reach the level of the wisdom that we just so now implanted and impregnated our brain, so that these ideas will give birth to more spiritually alighted ideas, more spiritual, filled, beautiful words. As we know, the word peh actually has the gematria, which is the word for mouth, chesed, and ahava, which is kindness and love. Because that's what your mouth was used, or it was made to use for. Otherwise, it was used for silence. So that we always wanted to be used as an instrument of goodness and kindness in the world. So once we raise our heart up and we raise our intellect up, then we're capable from our heart, from the center of our being, to hug someone else and embrace them physically. Then we're capable of using our mouth in a good and holy way. The physical embrace that we are able and are aroused to give someone else is actually a form of what's going on between us and God. Because in prayer, we're meditating on God's greatness. We're arousing this love of Hashem. This love of Hashem then causes us to embrace God, as it were, and He's embracing us, so that we could then capture His love, then do His will, which is for our sake, just like a child, like brush your teeth, you don't want to get cavities, don't eat 10 ice cream scoops, so then the child will listen to you because he loves you. But it's for his benefit, not because I'm a dictator and I want to tell him what to do. It's from a place of love. So then we're able to more willingly, happily, joyfully, be able to love Hashem and then follow His will, which is what's going to be our benefit. And so, in one of the Baal Shem Tov's explanation of the prayer, actually the prophecy of Yecheskel, was this likening to a light, a fiery beam of light, almost like a lightning, a bolt of lightning. And it's called the chashmal. Now, chashmal is like electricity, but it's also connected to two different words put together. And this is how our power of our words should be, like bringing light, like a bolt of light into the world, rather than a destructive fire, God forbid. So chash has the meaning of the word silence, because you really need to be chash, silent. And then mal has the two meanings of, like a bris milah, the circumcision of the baby at 8 days, but milah in Hebrew is also words. So you first have to be silent. Think about all the words you're about to say, but put it on a diet. I always say put it on a kosher language diet. Cut the words down. Too much is not good. Circumcise your mouth just like you would circumcise a baby. So chash means first be silent, then circumcise what you are about to say. Really think it through. See, is this words I'm saying going to allow the Shekhinah to rest on me or not? Am I angry? Am I tense? I should wait a little till I calm down. Take a deep breath. Right? And then, mal. Say the word now. With your peh, with your mouth, with ahava and chesed. With kindness and love. Or love and kindness. And that's what the explanation of Adam and Chava is all about also, because Adam represents Aleph, which is first, Dam, from Domem, you should be silent. And then Chava came. First Adam was created, Adam, and then Eve was created, Chava, which her name represents in Hebrew to express. So before you express anything, you really have to be silent. And that's why in the Tehillim it says, in silence righteousness do speak. That the only way you can speak righteously is if you first ground yourself, think silently about what you're about to say, what's the intention, how could it be received best, or maybe it's not the time because they're not in a good mood. And the other day I was doing a marriage class and I was saying how what happens when words that are kind of toxic or even slightly negative, the person on the receiving end, like the brain is discombobulated. It could frazzle the circuits of the brain. It could put the person in a cortisol, a stress hormone release, and they can really shut down. You're trying to open up and share your feelings with somebody about, you're being vulnerable and you're telling them what bothered you, but then they're taking it as bullets. And their brain can't handle it, and then they get triggered, and then there could be a situation where the person's going to be putting gasoline on a burning fire. So we have to see and look and perceive, where are they holding? Will they be able to receive my words? And how best can I put it together in a most beautiful way that they can really feel my love and kindness while saying what I'm saying? So as we rectify the way we speak and add more speaking of words of tefillah and words of Torah, then what happens is we are able to create, because there's a pasuk that says, I create the speech of the lips. Create is the word bara, right? But bara also is bari, healthy. God created health through the power of the speech that comes out of one's lips. I heal through my lips. I heal relationships through my lips. I heal my body through my lips. So we see that we got to try to reach new heights in our power of our prayers and the power of our words. And even when in last week's Parsha, when there's sometimes people who can't pray. They're blocked. They have a stone heart, and then they give up. But each day, each fire, each little more of a meditation, and I highly recommend you get my books. One of them is called Reaching New Heights Through the Power of Prayer, through prayer and meditation. And a lot of what I shared here is also in my marriage books and in my health and happiness book. But, Rivka, she was able to pray very passionately and very fervently, because she so wanted a baby, and she begged Yitzchak, please pray for a baby. And it's so interesting that why is she asking him? Of course he's praying, no? But he wasn't really for that, because he had accepted that whatever God does is for the good. He was fully in line with God's plan for him, so he didn't feel the need that I have to ask Hashem, because Hashem, if you're not giving me a baby right now, Gamzula Tova, it's all for the best. But Rivka was not happy with that. She thought he should also pray, and that's why she begged him. So what did he do? To be able to be aroused, to be able to pray like her, he was neged his wife. What is neged? Why would you say, and Yakov, neged means against. Yakov was praying against his wife. That doesn't make sense. He was praying with his wife or alongside, but neged, out of all words, to teach us a lesson that he had to pray opposite her. To see how she was praying so that he could get aroused to pray for what she needed. Isn't that beautiful? I heard this from a friend of mine who studied it with a rabbi, and I thought it was just so beautiful. I never heard this. Because, yeah, sometimes we can't pray because we're cold, blocked, we're done. We see the blessings that we've been wanting haven't been coming. We've been overindulgent. We've stuffed up our well. And that was the whole story of why the debate between Og and when Yitzchak had whether it was a bris milah or was it where there was some Mefarshim, some sages say that it was from his ufsherin, when his hair got cut at 3, or when he was weaning, or some say it was his bar mitzvah. But Og was there laughing away, ha ha ha, look at this. And he was actually sitting at the festival, and he was making fun of the honoree, like, who does that? But what was that whole boasting as he was chugging along his beer bottles or whatever, laughing with his friend like this puny little Yitzchak? Who is he? Look at me. I'm a giant. I have more power than this little, nothing. I'm a giant. So the argument that he was having with his buddies is that it's the might, who is the mighty one? The one that's physically buff and strong and giant-like. And Hashem heard this, and he said and responded in essence, you'll see the might of Yitzchak one day. And definitely the might of spirituality is the might of the world. And definitely the blessings of Torah and Tefillah and the spiritual practices are what gives the force of victory in this world. And that was the Hashem giving us the message of victory, of light, of kedusha, of holiness, and I just want to end off with a little poem that I actually wrote, and this poem actually, I don't know, because everyone was telling everyone, and everyone was telling everyone how that these enemies of us, in the name and cloaked in righteousness, oh my gosh, hello, everyone knows that they keep saying from the river to the sea they want us dead, so I wanted to change that curse to a blessing. So I wrote this. From the river to the sea, everyone will see who will be victorious miraculously. From the river to the sea, everyone again will see us surviving spectacularly. From the river to the sea, we have been promised that we will live freely. It's our destiny. We will see yet again from the river to the sea that they have come and gone, and we have been here to stay now and forever till eternity. From the river to the sea, we will reach new heights in our unity and reach our victory. So I bless you all to keep blessing, to keep turning this dark period into a great light. Don't be a spectator, be a motivator, an inspirational, activist, and do what you can. Of course, we can fear and have fear to fear everything and then rot and crumble and be distraught and be so anxious and fearful. Or we could take the acronym of fear and turn it into a blessing. Face everything and rise. Because no matter what's going on, we will not be shaken up. We will not be broken. We have Hashem who doesn't slumber and sleep. We are not alone, and we know that Hashem constantly is watching over us. And with this flow from Hashem, with the whiteness of Hashem, in the morning, we will give this blessing over to the world, and we will see, please God, Techav umiyad mamesh Mashiach tzidkenu, in our land, with the holy temple, our emunah and our bitachon be like sophisticated aircraft instruments, perfectly helping us through this darkest of nights. And if I can't fight the war in Israel with my feet, I will fight the war with my mouth, with holiness, and be that superconductor and be the flow of the victory of light. Because no matter how much knowledge is power, it's only a stepping stone to be able to reach that emotional mastery so that I can speak beautifully and kindly and lovingly. And please God, we will see that great day very soon.
Amen. Wow. That's so beautiful and inspiring, Rabbi. Could we open the floor to Q&A?
Yes.
Okay, great. You might want to stop the recording on YouTube. I think that.
Yes, we're going to say goodbye. Anyone who wants to join the call can call in, ask questions, because, wow, thank you so much. I miss you all. See you soon, hopefully. Oh, I just want to announce before I forget, the Aleph Beis Tanya workbook, it's not a workbook, but it's a unbelievable book, but it's both in hard copy and in soft cover, that just came out to bring more light into the world. And I want to announce I have a Shabbaton that is a 4-day Shabbaton from Thursday to Sunday. And the people who can't come, it is in LA. But those who are in LA that just want to just do Sunday, there's a separate admission. It's lunch, learn, and dance. We're going to have a dance party. I'm going to do my dance performances, and then we're going to celebrate the victory in advance. So thank you for those of you who are out there on Facebook and YouTube. Please join us. I'll check out the post later. Okay, bye-bye. But not bye to you, Ura. I'm sorry.